What do they call you? Wheels?
Hey everyone, it's Wills here, and in today's video I'm going to be talking all about probably the most bold and spectacular book of the entire From the Ashes era, Storm Issue 1. After being Regent of Arakko and leading the Brotherhood, Storm has returned to Earth to begin a new chapter of her life. As a solo superhero, yes, Earth's Mightiest Mutant is back, but don't worry, as this issue has action, cosmic threats, and of course, beautiful gowns. Written by Murewa Ayodele with art by Lucas Werneck, the book opens with Storm getting ready for a very important press conference. We see her looking through her various outfits over the years, deciding which one to wear. Her original Dave Cockrum design, the 80s punk look, the 90s Jim Lee costume, her Asgardian outfit, the short-lived Outback design, her Marvel Now costume, and even her most recent, and my favourite, X-Men Red outfit by Russell Dortman. As Arakko is browsing, we get a voiceover from a journalist providing a brief biography of her life, discussing her time as a pickpocket on the streets of Cairo, to being worshipped as a goddess in Kenya, to being an X-Man, an Avenger, the Queen of Wakanda, and most recently, the Regent of Arakko, after she helped terraform Mars into a habitable planet. In Storm's new home, which we'll get to more in a bit, we see that she has a very regal golden door which has been engraved with some of the most defining moments of her life. Becoming an orphan, being a goddess, leading the Morlocks, and, as mentioned, the Queen of Wakanda. I really do love all the small details and references that are included throughout this opening sequence, which really shows to me that both Ayodele and Werneck are big fans of Storm and her mythos. Through this door, Arakko emerges in a brand new costume. Designed by Lucas Werneck himself, this outfit incorporates various other elements from her previous outfits and overall feels very superheroic, which is a shift away from her previous, more edgy X-Men Red look, but fits with the new direction she's going. With this new look becoming the main Storm outfit, I'm curious, what is your favourite Storm outfit? Let me know down below in the comments. From here we get a better view of our protagonist's new home, the Storm Sanctuary, a floating base above Atlanta that is also a sanctuary for animals too, like giraffes, hippos, and capybaras. It's not explained here how Arakko has ended up with a floating base above Atlanta, but Murewa did explain in interviews that after her time as Wakandan royalty and as leader of Arakko, Storm has become very, very wealthy. The journalist broadcast continues with them explaining that whilst the public opinion of mutants is at an all-time low after the fall of Krakoa, Storm's recent actions in Oklahoma City have proven very popular. And so, the journalist speculates that she might be using this to announce her long-rumoured decision to run for Congress. This is a very cheeky reference to the very first glimpse we had of the From the Ashes era in the Woman of Marvel one-shot from February 2024. In it, Madam Web had a vision of the future, and we saw Rogue and her Uncanny X-Men team, Kitty and Emma Frost in their exceptional X-Men outfits, and Storm giving a speech in a plain black suit with a straight mohawk. Now, this set the fandom ablaze with questions and criticisms around the, let's be honest, massive downgrade Storm was having in terms of her look and design, going from her beautiful, naturally textured hair to a straight, lifeless mohawk that screamed of nostalgia. Additionally, there were many rumours around the new direction for Storm in this era, being that she was going to run for Congress and join the US government. Naturally, after being a member of two mutant governments, one on Earth and in space, this felt like a massive backstep. Now, spoilers, this does not happen, and whilst the X-Office denies that this was ever the plan for Storm, considering everything else in that vision came true, I find it hard to believe that this wasn't also the plan for Storm. But either way, we've ended up with something so much better. Back to the story, we are taken to 7 days ago in Oklahoma City, wherein a nuclear power plant has exploded. Storm arrives on the scene alongside current X-Factor member Frenzy to provide rescue and, as she says, perform miracles. They notice that the streets are completely empty of civilians, but before they can locate anyone, they come face to face with a shockwave emanating from the power plant. Storm utilizes her power over air molecules to counteract this force, and the pair get to rescuing people from the rubble. Our protagonist first rescues a couple with a young daughter, which hits particularly hard for Storm as in her origin, as revealed in X-Men 102, Aurora's parents were killed in Cairo when a fighter jet crashed into their home, with 5-year-old Aurora being trapped under the rubble for days, the cause of her very severe claustrophobia. At least here, as the omniscient narrator points out, she can spare another child from that same tragedy. Frenzy is also clearing the rubble and helping free people. However, she comes across a man in an orchid shirt and freezes, presumably contemplating leaving him to die. Storm snaps her out of it and reminds her that they save everyone, regardless of whether they openly support an organisation that wanted to exterminate all mutants just for existing. Yes, just as a reminder, Augurs were responsible for creating the mutant hunting sentinel Nimrod, the massacre at the Third Hellfire Gala, and in part responsible for the end of Krakoa as a whole. This is sort of like if someone was openly supporting the Nazis. The writer has gone on record to say that this scene was included at the request of X-Men editor Tom Brevoort as a way to show that the X-Men don't kill anymore, as they did during the Fall of X. Frenzy and Storm then continue their efforts across the city when another shockwave speeds towards them. Storm neutralizes it again, however this time a sharp piece of branch is carried by the wave and stabs her deep in the upper chest. The narration reveals that this was the universe's first attempt on Storm's life, and that there will be many more to come before the one that finally succeeds. She cauterizes the wound and decides to search for the source of the shockwaves and stop them. Joanna protests that she needs medical attention because she's still bleeding, but Aurora flies away in a flash of lightning. As she reaches the nuclear station, Storm is dismayed to see all of the damage caused to the surrounding ecosystem by the radiation, something which she is now being affected by too. Despite the wound and the radiation poisoning, she perseveres inside the site to find not a toxic nuclear reactor, but a mutant child who can't control their powers. The child begs Storm to kill them after all of the people they've inadvertently killed, but Storm chooses a better option as she reaches for them and calms them down, ending the disaster. I really like that Ayodele has chosen to focus on the power of Storm's empathy throughout the issue, as I think it's one of her best assets and can often be overlooked in favour of her powerful abilities and her fighting skills. We then cut to 3 days later when it's revealed that the nuclear power plant was not nuclear at all, but instead was being powered by an alien kaiju. This revelation has led the public to believe that the alien itself malfunctioned, and thus, as we see through interviews with the people of Oklahoma City, has led to a rise in support for mutants, but at the cost of xenophobic hate towards aliens and the complete besmirching of the reputations of the engineers who worked on the project and their grieving families. Storm has enlisted the help of Tony Stark to determine what actually caused the disaster, and after 866 million calculations run through algorithms built by the smartest minds on Earth, Iron Man has concluded that it was in fact the emergence of this mutant's powers that caused the accident. So Aurora has a choice: lie and protect the young mutant, preventing increased hatred towards all mutants, or tell the truth, honouring the dead engineers and clearing their names of any fault. Now I'm curious, if you were in Storm's position, what would you choose to do? Back to the present day, Storm is at a podium starting that press conference. Again, look at that bullet we dodged. When she starts coughing up blood. The radiation poisoning has persisted, but that's a worry for another time. She begins by mentioning her time with the X-Men and how she looks forward to working with the Avengers. Yes, Storm rejoined the Avengers with issue 17 and has since replaced Thor as the god on the team as he deals with personal matters. Both of these teams watch the conference with bated breath. Aurora then decides to explain what her own individual goals are, formally introducing the Storm Sanctuary as a haven in the day of adversity, a place of solace in difficult times, and a refuge in the hour of need. Welcome to everyone, from humans to mutants to aliens and gods. With that out of the way, Storm ultimately decides to tell the truth about Oklahoma City and reveal that the cause of that disaster was in fact a mutant. To the surprise of absolutely nobody, the conference quickly turns sour, with the acceptance of mutants reverting to fear and hatred in an instant. I found this to be an interesting choice, but I ultimately decided that this was correct for Arakko in this current moment. As she's choosing to be a solo hero, it's probably better to build a foundation on truth rather than lies and dishonor of the dead, but I do think it's entirely plausible that Storm would have lied in this situation. While she is a very ethical and moral person, she's never been one to shy away from making the hard decisions in order to protect the X-Men and mutants as a whole. I mean, she planned to fake the X-Men's deaths after the mutant massacre in order to prevent any further bloodshed. Either way, Storm has made this choice and has to live with the consequences. But beyond our planet, beyond even our universe, the cosmic entity Eternity has his eye on Arakko Monroe, laying claim to her as his eternal Storm. Now, whilst this might seem like an entirely random thing, Storm and Eternity do have a brief history together, as way back in Fantastic Four 550, as a member of the Fantastic Four, Doctor Strange placed Eternity's consciousness inside Storm's mind, as she was the only one strong enough to handle it. And do not worry, Eternal Storm debuts in short order in a very grand fashion. I found Storm issue 1 to be a really bold and spectacular first issue. I was worried that we'd see a regression after Al Ewing's epic run on Storm, but this gave me little to worry about. I think Murewa Aodeli has a strong voice for Arakko, and he writes her in a way that I believe all of her character choices, even if I don't agree with them myself. He also has a very clear interest in the cosmic side of Marvel, and as such is taking Storm on a rather grand and cosmic scale journey, which is honestly pretty new for her, so it's exciting to me. My one wish is that we get some internal monologue or thoughts from Storm, but the art and the dialogue have done well to give us glimpses at that, at least. Speaking of art, Lucas Werneck truly solidifies himself, for me, as one of the Storm artists. He draws her so beautifully with this air of regality, plus so much fashion, which I love. I also think his work has developed to become more cinematic, which I think complements the action and the larger scale of this book. So, all in all, I'm giving Storm issue 1 a rating of 9.5. And that's my breakdown and review of Storm issue 1. But what did you think about the issue, or the series as a whole if you've continued to read it? How do you feel about Storm becoming a solo hero and joining the Avengers, and what do you think about Storm being powered to a cosmic level? Let me know down below in the comments, and I'll see you all in the next video.